Hello everyone, welcome to Uniques United, and in this video I will talk about the characters and the story behind Uniques United. The story takes place on a world called Cubia and another medieval twin planet named Gypto. The 6 main characters frequently travel between the two worlds. Sometimes the 6 characters get some sort of mission from a guy named King Roland. They carry out the mission for the king, and they return home through portal. That's basically what happens in a nutshell. But the missions could involve anything from haunted houses to ruins or lost civilizations or just about anything you can imagine. Cubia is very much like our world, Earth. We have a civilization where, if anything paranormal, imagine if somebody walked out to someone and just started throwing fireballs everywhere. That would get the attention of the entire world. That's pretty much the same way with Cubia versus Gypto. If anything from Gypto gets revealed to Cubia, the whole world would know about it. So, the main characters do their best to keep it a secret, and anybody who accidentally discovers the secret of Gypto, or even magic, or anything that's weird and wonderful, like that, they make a promise to keep everything a secret. As for the characters themselves, let's start with Neil. Neil is 16 years old, he has Asperger's syndrome, and he is a twin brother to Miranda. If you were to walk up to Neil and have a conversation with him, you'd notice that he's kind, he's very considerate, he's a very pleasant guy to be around. Now, one of his problems, though, is being able to pick up social cues. I have this problem personally. Sometimes I will misinterpret or misread or not even pick up something that, like a gesture or a facial expression or just those little social cues that come into play every now and then. Another thing he has a problem with is his physical clumsiness. Like he'll trip over something or he'll kind of stumble while he's running sometimes, but that happens quite rarely. But he will bump into things and he will knock things over, and that tends to work against him at times. But what can you do when you're clumsy? It's not your fault. Neil is pretty much the leader of the pack. He calls the shots when it's time to band together for something, like on a mission. Next up is Daniel. Daniel is 17. He has bipolar disorder, and people consider him the most dangerous guy in the entire family because he has problems controlling his anger, his emotions, and sometimes they can get so out of hand that it ends up becoming violent. Like he'll pick something up and throw it at someone. But this is not a stereotype for all people with bipolar disorder or anger management problems, but this is his personal case as what happens for him. Daniel is very strong and very tough and very large, but he has trouble controlling himself, his emotions, and his anger problems. He's easily provoked. Andrew does like to tease him sometimes. It's like sibling rivalry. Andrew is 10 years old and he has ADHD. And he's quite hyper like you'd expect from someone with ADHD. Now, he's a bit of a prankster, he has a mischievous nature, and he can be a bit of a troublemaker sometimes. But Miranda knows how to whip him into shape, so to speak. She doesn't tolerate that kind of behavior around Daniel especially. But Andrew always sometimes tries to find a way to do it behind her back. Because he's just like that. He's a naughty person. He's a naughty child. Andrew is really clever with contraptions, like the chain reaction kind. Like you put a ball on a seesaw and it shoots the other ball up, and the ball lands into a pipe and it goes through the pipe and hits something. That sort of contraption. He is very good at setting them up. He'll use whatever's in the room and that is one thing that he is as his hobby. He's been practicing it for a few years. So that actually is a strength of his. Also, he is very, very energetic, and he can actually run very, very fast. Especially given the fact that he's lightweight. He's not very heavy at all. Andrew is very young, being at 10 years of age, and he doesn't understand how the world works. He's quite naive, but he doesn't really care. He's too busy enjoying his life, his childhood, to really care about the things that come later in his life. Andrew can blurt out something, even if by accident, because of his impulsiveness. Sometimes that can land him into trouble, but usually people understand that he's just a kid, and he has a few problems. But for situations like where you have to be careful what you say, that could present a problem, and they have to work around that. Stanley has a mix of ADD and PDD-NOS. PDD-NOS being something called pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. It's what doctors diagnose if they don't know what's going on, but it's related to autism. He's probably the most handicapped guy in the family. He is very curious and very absent-minded. He'll remember a number on the wall for years, but if you ask him to do something, he'll forget 5 seconds later and just go off and just wander around and stare off into space. And I have this problem too. I tend to stare off into space and forget things as well, so I know exactly what it's like. So, and if he sees an alarm button, he'll press it just to see what it does. He'll ignore the sign that says alarm, and he'll get him. He's good at turning the world on its head, basically. He has to. Everyone likes to supervise him, because if you leave him on his own, chances are he'll drive someone crazy, or he'll. He's you could call him comical for that, comic relief. He's that kind of absent-minded guy. Stanley is actually gifted with his body. He's very agile, he's very flexible, and he's very, very precise and accurate. And he can actually use math to help him. He can make lots of mental calculations to actually help him with his accuracy. Like if he were to play a game of darts, he'd get bullseye after bullseye after bullseye. I mean, there's just no way you can beat him at it. He's that good. He's that accurate. And he is a very... You wouldn't want to end up in a sword fight with him. Very rarely does Stanley ever show any sort of emotion. He's kind of blank. Stanley is also 15 years old. Simon is 13 years old, and he has PTSD. He got it from the death of his parents when they were going up in the mountains one day. They got caught in a snow slide, kind of like a mudslide, but with a snow avalanche. The parents died, and Simon also almost got killed along with them, because that was a very, very close call. So, ever since that, he was being terrified of anything that looks like it could fall on top of him. He'll start freaking out if he sees that. And also, he has constant nightmares about the same situation happening over and over and over again. He really doesn't get any peace in his dreams at all. So, he's very paranoid about, falling objects. And on top of that, as a side effect, he's developed kind of like an absolute need for everything to be in order, like his space. Kind of like OCD for cleanliness. So he'll get pretty snappy if anybody starts making a mess. So he's a neat freak, but he's also an amateur scientist / inventor, and he actually does make stuff. He makes gadgets and weapons and whatnot, and he actually tries to study Neil's magical abilities. Neil can actually cast spells. He's a wizard. He has a mentor who's an archmage from Gypto, but nobody on Cubia knows that, unless they were told by the 6 main characters. Miranda is the last of the 6 siblings, and she's the only female in the family. She has high-functioning autism. Miranda is very protective of her brothers, and if anything get in danger by somebody else, she will get mad. She will really, really take serious action to make sure they're safe. So, if, let's say, for example, Neil ends up getting, in trouble, like in danger, for example, by some guy who wants to beat him up or something, she will get really furious and she can be pretty scary when she's mad. And she has a tendency to get frustrated a lot when things don't go well. Like, all mothers face this with their families, when there's a lot going on and they're just stressed out and then they snap. Miranda is pretty much the mother figure in the family. She's in very many ways like her mom, her now deceased mom. So, she has kind of taken over the role of mother, even though she's a sibling. She is the substitute leader. If Neil's not available, she'll take over and lead everybody. You could say she's the wisest of the 6. She seems to know everything. She seems to know stuff that the other 5 don't, and when things get really, really sticky, everybody turns to her for guidance. She's just one of those people who follows their intuition. Her intuition comes into play whenever something very serious happens. She always has a plan, and one could say that she seems a bit psychic. Like, her intuition is that strong. And that was a very long video, but I want to thank you all for watching, if you stuck around that long. And in the next video, I have an announcement to make. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys later.